Do not buy these if you are buying your first designer purchase. This is not the way to go. Hello everybody, welcome back to our video. I'm so glad you are here and I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm not even going to waste your time because I don't want your time nor your money being wasted. If you're looking to make your first designer purchase and you're looking to, indulge, treat yourself as you should, this is not the way you should go about it, in my opinion. By all means, spend your money how you want to spend your money. This is just solely my opinion. If you love these items, please continue on buying them. But if you're looking to buy your first entry-level designer item, maybe even your second or your third, buying these items is probably not benefiting you or your coin long term. It's your money, spend how you want to, but if you're looking to make a wise, smart decision financially and also to purchase something that you will have for years to come, these are the items that I would strongly recommend you don't buy at the very beginning. Once you've built up your collection, by all means, okay, buy what you want to buy 5 of these things, buy 50 of them, but I wouldn't recommend you purchase these items at the very beginning of your designer luxury journey. Listen, time is money, okay? Let's get into it. Number 1, the SLG, otherwise known as the small leather good. Now before you comment, what do you mean I can't buy an SLG as my first designer purchase? Wrong. That is not the argument that I'm about to go down. My first designer purchase was a Louis Vuitton wallet and I bought that 5 years ago and I still use that every single day. I used it quite honestly this morning. I firmly believe an SLG as your first designer purchase is probably the best way to go, because that way you're not only buying, something from the brand that you really wanted, but you're also purchasing something that you're going to use on a daily basis, or at least a lot of the time. A designer bag, let's say you give or take, you wear 200 days of the year. Maybe a wallet you wear at least 350. Cost per wear, you're already looking at far greater for the SLG than the designer handbag. However, the problem is not the SLG. The problem is when you have too many SLGs. The problem is because an SLG is more affordable, let's say it's only $500 as opposed to a handbag, which is now like $4 grand minimum at the cheapest, which is unfortunate. The SLG is far easier to save up and spend your money on versus the designer handbag at $4,000. When an SLG is $500 and the designer handbag is $4,000, you can essentially save up $500 and you can buy many different SLGs. Because when you go to purchase that SLG, it's a lower cost investment as opposed to a bag. The lower cost investment like the SLG at $500, maybe you buy 1, maybe you buy 2, maybe even buy 3 in the year, that's still significantly less than the designer handbag. You could have taken the money that you spent on the second and third SLG and put that towards a designer handbag or really anything. Now remember, the problem is not the SLG. The problem is when you have too many SLGs. The wallet, the key pouch, the card holder, it all adds up. Especially in today's day and age, because now a wallet can be basically $1,000. So I mean, girl math your way into that. Would you rather spend $1,000 towards a wallet or save that towards a designer handbag? Unless you're swapping out your wallets on a regular basis, there's really no need for an abundance of SLGs. The next item is an item that is very in trend right now, and that is the keychain. Yes, keychains are absolutely everywhere. It is the probably most affordable way to really deck out your bag and show your personality on your handbag, which is great. I have no issues with that. The issue is when you have the designer, okay, emphasis on the designer, hefty price keychains, because some of these keychains go up to $1,000 right now, which is absolutely bonkers to me, but they're priced that way because they are in trend, and quite honestly they can sell it, so I mean, why not? I.e. the same price as some of these wallets, the same price as a contemporary handbag. Especially when you have a handbag, let's say for example the Miu Miu handbag that has like 6 keychains on them, all of them being $1,000. That is $6,000 that you could have just bought a handbag with. If you think about it, a keychain goes on to something, it latches on to something that has function to it. The keychain itself does not have function to it. So if you think about it, buying your first designer purchase that has no function to it probably isn't the best use of money. Again, I want to emphasize that this is your first designer purchase. If you have a whole collection of handbags, by all means, go get those keychains, okay? Deck out your handbags. And the next item that I would strongly recommend you do not purchase as your first designer purchase are really any designer water bottles, flasks, or even mugs. Really anything that you drink out of. While you could argue that these pieces do have function to them, which is true, I mean, you're drinking water out of them, to me, it's giving merch. It's giving that they took this water bottle and they stamped their logo on it and called it a day and selling it for, I think it's around like $100, $200 for a designer water bottle, at least at Saint Laurent. Now over time, and especially when you put it in the dishwasher, that logo that you essentially paid for is going to rub off, and over time it's going to become one merch water bottle that has no logo and probably no sort of pizzazz to it. The next one may be a bit controversial, but again, this is when you're first starting out, your first purchase, not when you've made 5, 6, even 2 purchases. Designer shoes. Now hear me out. I do believe there are people that are either bag oriented, they love handbags, or they are more shoe oriented, they love shoes. There can absolutely be a mesh of both, but if you had to pick, you can definitely pick one or the other. And the only reason why I say don't buy shoes as your first purchase is because sometimes, and a lot of the times actually, shoes can be very uncomfortable, and shoes are really dedicated towards, you know, certain occasions or certain seasons. And when you're looking to make your first designer purchase, make sure that you can wear it all year round, not just seasonally and not just for certain occasions. You want to make sure that you can get the most wear or bang for your buck. If you're looking to buy a designer stiletto but you rarely wear heels, it's probably not the best way to go about your first purchase. The same can go for occasion wear. If you're buying a shoe for one specific occasion, except your wedding day, okay, that rule does not apply here. Maybe a couple times a year because they're a very seasonal piece. It's probably not the best way of going about your first designer purchase. Now this should go without saying, but if you are more of a shoe craze person over a handbag, then by all means, make sure your first designer purchase is a shoe because you love shoes. You are a shoe craze person at heart. It's really all going to be dependent on the person, their lifestyle, the atmosphere, okay, the weather, take into account where they live. Okay, there's so many factors. The next one could be a little bit controversial as well. The designer logo belts. The belt is probably the best and easiest accessory that you can buy from a designer brand. One of them at least. There's function to it. It can go with many things in your wardrobe if you buy a neutral color, and you will probably have it in your wardrobe for years to come. The belt is arguably a very good purchase to have in your wardrobe. The issue more so comes with the logo and social media, and we just seeing the same belt over and over and over again. Let's take for example the Gucci Marmont belt. We saw this belt everywhere, and we saw this belt everywhere for quite a long time, to the point where many people, myself included I think, are really sick of the Marmont belts. Now fashion trends come and go. There's definitely going to be a time where the Gucci Marmont definitely comes back full force. They did try and actually bring back the Gucci Marmont belt, but I don't really think it succeeded in the way that Gucci would hope. But rest assured, one day it'll definitely come back full force. The problem with these belts is not the belt itself, it's because it's, well, us, okay? It's us. When a belt is so heavily endorsed on social media and worn, and everybody is seen wearing the same belt, it can become very tiresome. And this does not just apply to belts, but also every single trend, you know, out there. I'm very much that way. If I see things that are worn constantly and by everybody on the street, I definitely become a little bit fatigued. And I think that's normal for everybody, especially now with TikTok. We are seeing so much content. So if everybody on TikTok is wearing the exact same thing, I think it's normal that we eventually get fatigued over this specific item. The Celine Triomphe belt is definitely another example. I would argue that the Celine Triomphe belt, even the Louis Vuitton monogram belt as well, and the Gucci Marmont belt are the core culprits, I guess you could say, of why a belt should not be your first purchase. I would argue especially not as your first purchase, because a belt you can definitely get tired of very quick, very easily with a logo attached to it. This does not apply to designer belts with no logos on them. I can 1000% see why designer belts get so popular, and because they have a relatively affordable price tag. They're similar to the SLGs where you can buy many of them and they're not as a big commitment as a bag. They're a smaller investment, which just makes them more attainable, which also is the reason why so many people are wearing the same belts. If you're looking for your first designer purchase to be in your wardrobe for years to come, if not for the rest of your life, then buying something that has the potential to be tiresome for you to get over is probably not the best way to go about it. And lastly, something that I'm calling the cases. This applies to all cases that can possibly case: the AirPods, the passport case, the iPhone case, the phone cases in general. In a time where technology is constantly expanding and there is constantly a new phone every single year, as your first designer purchase, I would strongly recommend not purchasing a case. Because if you think about it, if you're going to buy a case for your phone and you have the full intent on upgrading that phone in maybe a year or 2 years time, then that purchase, that designer purchase, is really only going to last you the 1 or 2 years time max. And even if you intended on reselling these items, they have a terrible resale value, because the people that are buying these cases also know that they're not going to have these long in their collection. They are not going to sell sell at a profitable price. I would say this applies to all tech. The same would apply to AirPods as well. Now, the reason why I say a passport case, unless you are a frequent travel, unless you are flying all the time, then I would strongly not recommend a passport case to be your first purchase. The passport case is not anywhere near as functional as an SLG or a wallet. The passport you're really only going to use a couple times a year unless you're a frequent flyer, but even then I would not buy it as my first purchase. With all that being said, stay very clear from the case. If I had to say one thing that do not buy, it would be the case. There you have it. Those are all the things that I personally would recommend you not buy as your first purchase. There is something so sentimental about your first designer purchase that I think everybody remembers exactly what the item was, even where they were when they bought it. So I think being savvy with how exactly you spend your money on your first purchase, or just knowing how exactly you're going to use that in your day-to-day life, is a smart way to go about it. I would love to know if there was anything that I missed that you would also encourage not to buy. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, I would love if you would subscribe. It does mean the absolute most to me. And as always, I hope you have the utmost fabulous day.